so what are you up to? I said, I want to teach history. So he says, ha ha, you teach my bit as well. I said, no, I've been told to do second year. He says, anytime you want to do third year, let me know. So that's how I started teaching. And when I left the room, I realized that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And which was very surprising, because when I left the school, I had told myself, I am never going to come back. This is a shitty place. Hi, I am Aruna Ramani Grover. I'm an alumnus, three-time alumnus of the School of Planning and Architecture. I am today a professor at the Department of Architecture, and I'm currently holding the position of Dean PND. Mine has been a rather long journey. I came here as I think as a 19-year-old in August 1979. A bright face with two pigtails, and I had a very exciting time as an undergraduate student here. We had fantastic teachers, and what I am today is all thanks to them. We had Professor Ved Rauri, who was the head of the department, and he was a very, very meticulous and well-informed person. And off and on, he went on to become my boss, because I joined the school to build the campus at Maharani Bagh. But amongst my teachers were Professor Rasik Behel, Professor Vasant Kamath, they are no more, Professor Raghuvansh Bahadur, and Professor Narendra Dingle and Moni Ganju, who were my first year teachers. And I think we were living in very exciting times. We had begun to do things our own way after aping the West for a bit. And so these teachers not only taught you in studio, but they also, with their work in the profession, showed you what was possible. And to that extent, I think we were very, very fortunate to be in the school at that time. They were young, they were enthusiastic, they were very energetic. And if today I am able to dialogue with my students and treat them as minds, equal minds, it is because of the way they taught me and they treated me when I was here in this institution. And so that was a big learning for me. Then I married one of my seniors. I married in the third year, but I continued to and finished on time and did reasonably well for myself. Then I went away and worked in office and did some practice with my husband. And then one day when I was here in the library, I was coming down the staircase, and my head of the department, Professor Ved Rauri, just did this, because I was coming down the staircase and he could see me come down the staircase. Those of you who know how the head of the department's room is located will know exactly what I mean. So I walked in and he said, "What are you up to these days?" I said, "Well, nothing much. I'm sitting at home looking after my baby." He said, "Well, come report to work from Monday." So he said, "You have to take charge of doing the nuts and bolts of the Maharani Bagh project, the working drawings. It had already been designed and All the approvals had been obtained and it was ready to be built. And so, under the guidance of Professor Surinder Sharma and Mr. Rajiv Gupta, uh, I was responsible for creating the working drawings, doing supervision at site, day to day working with my junior staff over here. And then when it was under construction, one of my other teachers, another favorite of mine, Professor Chaya, said, building बनती रहेगी, अब तुम पढ़ाना शुरू कर दो. And then he took me to the office and told the section officer, Mr. Ramachan, इसको टाइम टेबल पे डाल देना. And here I didn't know whether to swallow or to spit, and I was very taken aback. But I had this 100% trust in my teachers. I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I had a feeling that they perhaps knew more about me than I did. And so then I was called by the head of the department, Professor P.K. Chaudhary, and he said, so what do you want to teach? You want to teach design? I said, no, I want to teach theory. I want to teach history of architecture. And he was very surprised. He says, really? But mostly people want to teach design. I said, no, I want to teach history of architecture. Then he said, well, that sounds... And he asked me why, and then I had a little conversation with him. Then he decided that I should that he would like another person to vet this case. So he said, I want you to go and meet Professor Satish Grover. So, and then let me know how it goes. I said, okay. So I was so enthusiastic. I landed up at his house at 9:30 one morning, and the poor man was asleep. I rang the bell, and the servant was dreadfully surprised. But I waited and Professor Grover sauntered out, and he was grinning from ear to ear because he knew me from studio, he knew me from his history classes which he had taught me. And he said, so what are you up to? I said, I want to teach history. So he says, you teach my bit as well. I said, no, I've been told to do second year. He says, anytime you want to do third year, let me know. So that's how I started teaching, and that was my first lecture was in August 1988. And I remember I had prepared, and it was a second year class, so these people were about 7-8 years younger than me, so I was naturally nervous. I walked into class and I had my lecture, and then there was a little conversation, questions. When I finished, so there was this conversation with the students, and when I left the room, I realized that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And which was very surprising, because when I left the school, I had told myself, I am never going to come back. This is a shitty place. But as somebody rightly said, you can't take out SPA from your blood once you've been here. And then 2 years later, when the B-Plan course was started, they started on the 1st of September, and I was asked to be part of the studio team with Professor Kapadia, Professor Kapadia, another great friend and a wonderful teacher and a wonderful human being. And we had a wonderful time teaching these first year students. And then I think a year later, I joined full time in the school. And I have, I think, taught everything from first year to final year. I've taught dissertation for many years, and now I think for the past 12-13 years I'm teaching the final year students teaching. And I continue with my first love, which is history of architecture. Okay, now if I were to say, what is very interesting is that when I joined, it was a deemed university, and by the time I became professor, it became an institution of national importance. We have land. We've had land for building our new campus for a very long time, and hopefully by the time I retire, we should have something ready there. Nothing is as constant as change, and this profession too has changed from the time when we used to make drawings on gateway with rotring pens and scratch with a blade and take out blueprints, where we today send PDFs to site and people are looking at drawings on their phone and giving instructions. The act of build has come a very long way. So also the act of communication, the way we are connected to the world today, was not so. In my 30s and in my 40s, if you wanted to see a building, you either saw it, or you saw it in a magazine, or you saw it in a book. Now you can see street after street, building after building in Google Earth. You can explore the insides of museums in Google Earth. So this communication has changed everything, including architecture. And this is going to continue to happen, where decisions will take less and less time. The risk in that is that we may make incorrect decisions, because there is no time for us to sit back and see whether what we have done is correct or not. So this is a bit of a worrier as far as I'm concerned. The profession, the students have also recognized the fact that it is fantastic ground to a multidisciplinary career, and the undergraduate bachelor's program is very well suited. You can go off to do anything from one end, which is product design, design the smallest of objects, to go on to do environment planning, to go on to do project management, you name it. This is a great undergraduate degree. You can go on to do to make films, to paint, to write books. So in that sense, it's a fantastic degree, and more people are recognizing this as a fact and are able to therefore use this undergraduate degree in ways which were quite unknown, say 15 or 20 years ago. And I truly believe that this is a fantastic thing, because the manner in which the world is interconnected, we are also coming to recognize that the disciplines are extremely interconnected, that they are all, let's say, bits and pieces of the same currency. And for an architect, this holistic kind of an outlook is very, very important. We have many schools of architecture now, and SPA will continue to hold its niche position because it has pedigree, and it continues to have some great teachers. And we are also very fortunate because we draw the best blood for the undergraduate program. In the joint entrance exam, we take the cream away from the rest of the institutions. And so in that sense, we are very, very fortunate. And our studios continue to be as scintillating as they were in the past. The medium of communication has changed. The manner of communication has changed. We now show them films. We now show them, we do a flick of the phone and we show them things. So, but this act of talking to each other about issues as equals, it continues. And that, I think, is a core value that we have carried through and hope to carry through into the future. So, in the time that I've spent here in the institution, I have recognized one core value of this institution is that you are your only um, competition. You can be as good as you aim to be, and you can be better. And as I said, I have done my bachelor's here, I've done my master's here, and I've done my PhD here. And at each instance, this was about finding yourself, exploring what was in front of you, exploring the world through your topic, through the subjects that you were being taught and you were exploring. And it strikes me that perhaps no other educational program embraces the arts and the sciences, goes from one extreme to the other extreme, and touches human lives so deeply as this course does and this profession does. And it touches all kinds of lives. Today you may be doing something for a very, very rich man, and tomorrow you may be doing something for someone who earns maybe 150 rupees a day and supports a family of 5. And the only thing that is required is the passion to look at things from first principle and to deliver. And here I would say that I do not know about other professions. If you are a mechanical engineer, maybe you're refining the motor that you created, you're improving things. Here, every problem here is new. Every problem is related to human lives. And every problem has to be attacked from first principle. I do not think there is any other profession in which this charming idea can apply. So there is research, there is exploration, there is experimentation, there is the falling apart because things aren't working, and there is the coming together, and then in the end there is the eureka moment. You say, okay, this is just it. And you take your client along, you take your clients along, you take your financer along, and then you create the build, and it is there for the rest of humanity to see for the rest of their lives. Somebody rightly said, you create buildings, and then they are the ones that mold you into being who you are. So if there is a well-designed school, you can be sure that you have very happy children there. If it is a well-ventilated hospital, you know that patients are going to go home healthier than how they came in. So we touch lives, and in that sense, this is a fantastic profession.